Hey everybody, and welcome to The Writing Glitch. I'm Cheri Dotterer, your classroom coach. Several months ago, I was approached by some gentlemen in France about participating in a thing called Podcastathon. Their website is podcastathon.org, and I'm going to share a little bit about their vision. They say that the strength of a podcast episode lies in listening, quality, and duration, giving a microphone so that many associations with such high-level engagement allows them to share their stories, their challenges, and their projects, conveying emotions to bring associations closer to the future donors and volunteers. Their mission is to have 1,500 podcasts from around the world sharing charitable organizations. I met a lady by the name of Marion Waldman around the same time as I was meeting these folks about Podcastathon, and I was very humbled by what she is doing. She is a charitable organization that is going into libraries and schools around the country and helping them understand dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, and why some of these conditions are, the librarians are struggling with these conditions. So they're actually going in, they have training for librarians to explain how to set up dyslexia places in the library. What are some of the advantages and disadvantages of the locations? What can we do? Because a lot of comorbidities happen with dyslexia, and that is ADHD. How can we set up a station for kids to participate who may have conditions like ADHD? I want to introduce her today. Now, I did not plan on the podcast. Oh man, am I struggling with this one today. I started the podcast like I start every podcast. You're going to get to hear my greeting again, but I hope that this charity brings you a bit closer to what is out there to help kids understand dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia. They have programs for teachers, they have programs for librarians, they have programs for parents, they have programs for therapists. Stay tuned and listen to what they have to offer. Thanks a bunch. Oh yeah, I always forget this. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast, and don't forget to leave a comment and tell us if you teach your child to read. Hey, welcome everybody to the Writing Glitch podcast. I'm Cheri Dotterer, your classroom coach. Today we are visiting with Marion Waldman from Teach My Kid to Read. Teach My Kid to Read is a 503c nonprofit, and their mission is to provide parent, librarian, educators, and anyone else interested in literacy education with the tools and the resources to help all kids to read. Before we go to talk with her a little bit, we're going to have a word from our sponsor, Disability Labs. Disability Labs is at Disability Labs, we are committed to impact the journey of 200,000 teachers by 2030 so they can reignite their passion for learning. Our professional development series focuses on math and writing strategies to help all students in your classroom. These interventions improve students with and without disabilities. All students have access to mathematics and writing skills. And we are launching in this new year a subscription box. Inside that subscription box, you will find tools for reading, writing, and math skills for students that are struggling. Plus, you'll have some surprises for you, the teacher or the parent or the therapist who is working with the student. We did a pre-launch here in October for the holidays, and the people that purchased it were overwhelmed with glee because they said it was just layer upon layer of fun things to do with my students and some nice surprises for me. When we launch, you'll get more information as we get closer to launching the subscription box, but look for it sometime next year in 2025. I'll have to edit the next year out. Look for it in 2025. Let's get on with the show. Marion, thank you for being here today. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started this nonprofit.
First of all, I'm thrilled to be here and very excited about your work as well. My background is in educational publishing, and I came to the literacy world when my own daughter struggled to read. Having a background in educational publishing, being an English major, even teaching occasionally in higher education, I felt that literacy and reading was something I had my arms around, and that surrounding my daughter with books and reading to her and telling everybody when they asked what gifts to get her, give her books. She can never have too many books. I thought that I was just super equipped to help any child read. I went on a journey that many parents go on, and that at first I thought, okay, she needed a little bit of help. English wasn't her first language. I thought maybe that was it. If we kept up the first language, it would make it easier. And then as time went on and I started having more discussions with the teachers and administrators, I knew something wasn't quite right. She wasn't progressing. I work very closely with content and curricula in educational publishing. And the work that she was doing to keep up with her classmates and supposedly learn to read may as well have been in another language for her. She wasn't learning the sounds and the basic skills, yet she was supposed to answer questions and read sentences. Homework became a nightmare. And then I started on my journey, starting to learn a little bit about how kids learn to read. And again, coming from publishing, I had worked on a ton of higher education and vocational and K to 12 books, and I was familiar with balanced literacy, and I thought that was the right way to learn to read, and that leveled texts were all that there was. It was quite an eye-opener to realize that I had worked on projects that I then learned were not the best way for nearly any kids, let alone kids that have a reading disability or reading issue like dyslexia, learn to read. Again, like many parents, I got to the point where I knew as much as many of her teachers about what she needed, and I found a tutoring center in our region that used alphabetic phonics, one of the systematic explicit reading programs based on the science of reading. It's not used that commonly, but it's an effective program. And that's where she started to progress, but she had still fallen way behind. And by the time she was going into sixth grade, it had been a long journey. And I threw my hands up. She was just falling so far behind. And I ended up driving to the Kildonan School to Camp Dunneback and sitting down with the director of the camp and just saying, can you teach my kid to read? And that was before she was going into sixth grade. And that was like a turning point in my entire career, because I had been in publishing for so many decades. Then I was a vendor. I was a partner in a small business, and I never envisioned leaving publishing. So all my contacts it's what I had focused my career on, all the way from marketing to editorial to sales and working for the big publishers and myself. And suddenly it was the summer before my daughter was going into sixth grade, and we were renting literally a cabin in the middle of nowhere. And she was spending 6 weeks going to a camp for kids with reading disabilities. And I met parents from all over the country, mostly from the region, but certainly from the country. Everybody was pretty much in a daze. My kid can't learn to read, and they would do anything. We received a scholarship. It still was $10,000 for 6 weeks, and I couldn't believe it. And I felt, and there were many people there that had so much that had the means to even buy a second home while their kid went to camp there. These were not kids. We live in Albany, and this was not our community going to help the kids learning to read. Just the inequities of this entire situation absolutely blew me away. The fact that I was at the time in my 50s rooming with other parents the same age, living in the middle of nowhere, I had my dog with me, just leaving my family just so my kid could learn to read. And in 6 weeks, she went up 3 grade levels in decoding. And granted, that was just the beginning of the journey, but I thought and that was based on Orton-Gillingham. There was a period of time where I thought that Orton-Gillingham was the only way my daughter could have learned to read. And I've since realized, I'm a big fan of OG, but I've since realized that there were other ways that other systematic explicit reading programs that could have had the same effect with that intensive tutoring, the right teacher being able to understand what her weaknesses are. But that summer was a turning point for me. And because I couldn't keep up with the work in my own business, I started blogging and writing about our experiences. And that's how Teach My Kid to Read started. I had a good friend from college come up to spend some time with me. She's a brand manager, and she's the one who together we came up with Teach My Kid to Read for the blog, because at that time, that was what it was all about. And again, being in publishing, I was brought up that if there's something wrong in the educational system, you don't talk about it, you don't blog about it, you recommend some solutions. I was far enough along in my career that I had that ingrained in my blood that I better figure out a way that we contribute to the solutions. Fast forward, Teach My Kid to Read decides to do a pilot with libraries, and that partially came about because one of my colleagues at the time had written to, I think it was a library in New Zealand, and said, why are the decodables in just the dyslexia section? All kids learn to read with decodables. And I said, over the years, one thing that it's always been irked me is I'm a constant reader. I can't imagine life without my Libby app and just the constant books I have on back order, and the fact that anybody could access a library. Yet when I've gone there, none of the librarians seem to know anything about dyslexia. Once I learned about decodable books or ways to help families like mine at the time. In 2019, we decided, let's do a pilot. Let's focus on 50 libraries in New York, and we partnered with Glean Education. Let's give them access to Glean's online course on dyslexia, give them some handouts, a poster, a suggested list. We got samples, t-shirts, and see if they're willing to do a display for Dyslexia Awareness Month and learn more about, again, how to help families of early and struggling readers. And it was a great success. Other states heard about it. We ended up working with 50 libraries in New York and a bunch of other states. We had planned to expand our work to serve New York, but then COVID hit. We slapped everything we did online in a very rudimentary kind of WordPress plugin, and suddenly we were hearing from libraries all over the country, even other countries. And that's how we got into the library space. And in the course of this time, I happened to meet a parent who had nearly a parallel experience to me, but she was a librarian. And so she had created a literacy hub at her library in the Finger Lakes in New York. She had a vast decodable book collection and parent resources, teacher resources, and we came together. She's our current program director, and she now works with us full time, and also at the Lodi Whittier Library manages the literacy hub there as well. We joined forces, and what our work became, and I should stop here. Do you want me to keep going, or do you want to answer some?
Keep going.
Okay. We joined forces, and what we started offering is we offered webinars to librarians on library systems, sometimes at the state level, system level, but in 3 main areas: understanding the science of reading and how it relates to librarians, to understanding all the early resources and decodable books so that they could choose wisely and understand where the different resources fit. And the third area is initiating literacy solutions at the library, whether it's a literacy event with a successful event that they already have that maybe they want to add a story walk, or have some resources for parents of early and struggling readers, even offer a tutoring program, offer kits, take-home kits, a broad array of literacy solutions that are taking place at the library. So those are the three areas that we focused on. And I'll backtrack to that. To support this work, we also have a literacy, we have a library committee, and we have a decodable book partnership so that we can offer librarians and subsequently the parents and caregivers that they reach good, deep information on the undecodable books, and even through our membership program that we'll get to, discounts and ways to make it easier to sometimes purchase these books. Those were the three main areas that we provide education in. And then we also provide operational support where we get brought into grants often where usually a public or a school library that they want to start offering decodable books, a literacy hub for their community. Can you come in and help provide the education component, whether it's bridging a school library with what is happening in the school, whether it's a public library that we're also offering tools to help the librarians then serve the community. We provide that education piece as well as what to order, how to order, even how to set up the books. You see there's some bins behind me, and as well as resources for parents, for teachers. Because when we do community literacy initiatives, we want to serve the community. We also have a percentage of our budget on what other books do you feel would serve your community that maybe you don't have. It could be books in other languages, different family structures, cultures, whatever they think would help their community have access to books where they can mirror, where they could see themselves. That's how that's our work in a nutshell. But we had one big conundrum with our work, and one quote unquote head scratcher, and that's that we couldn't serve the individual libraries. And we might get brought into a grant in an urban area, even a certain district, a region, some of the smaller states, they could even be statewide. We were still getting calls from individual libraries, and it frustrated us because we couldn't help them. We didn't have a model to help them. And it was always the same questions we got, like, how does the science of reading affect us? Are we the only library that their patrons are asking all about these decodable books? And we're trying to learn about them. And hey, sometimes the bindings, what do we do about the bindings that aren't durable? Do we kit these books? How do we know which book to choose? Where do we put them? Where do we put the decodable books for older struggling readers, or those in the YA section or the children's section? We would have all these conversations, and we would just pro bono, we were constantly doing these 30-minute consults, and again, just connecting everyone. And we got to a point where we're like, we have to have a robust community. The only way we're going to create impact or truly have any effect on bridging the literacy crisis with libraries and communities, which is what our mission is, if we have a community and we connect them to each other. We do have an online community that we just launched, but we have a pilot group in there and a couple of members, but we're in the process still of finishing it up and fine-tuning it and working with the community we have so that we're certain that it's serving librarians and library staff, as well as parents and caregivers. Where we are right now is we've got this online community, and we're very excited about working with different library systems, working at a state level, and just getting librarians in there so that they can meet each other. I think at this point, the best thing is for me probably to show you the community.
Beautiful. The membership community, how much does it cost? What is the background? What do you need to do to become a member of your community?
If you go to our website, teachmykidtoread.org, right from the homepage, you'll be able to get to the community page, which is the landing page for the community. And the way it works is for a single librarian to subscribe, it's $124.95 for the whole year, which is, I think, quite a good deal. And once a librarian subscribes, starting in 2025, we'll also give them a separate invite that they can share with their patrons, and their patrons will be able to access the parent caregiver section for free. A librarian we're early on, but a librarian can sign up today, and we still have some trickling in. We also have special pricing for 5 staff members, and above that, we just recommend that a librarian email us at info@teachmykidtoread.org, and we'll give them information for system-wide licenses or state licenses. But an individual librarian can sign up today if they want to.
Beautiful. What about a parent?
Right now, our model is that the parents will access it for free through the library. We might have a model after we've launched and gotten some traction with our library community. We may have a model so that parents can subscribe at a much lesser fee without a library, but right now we would like to offer it for free to parents and caregivers through the library.
I'm a parent. I'm not associated with the library. I would like to be part of this community. And one of the things that you and I were talking about is that Disability Labs and CheriDotterer.com and everything, all the work that I'm doing, I've been wanting to partner with a nonprofit, and I would love to partner with your nonprofit to help parents be part of that membership system. Parents that are out there, OTs that are out there, teachers that are out there that are not affiliated with a library. We are developing a system where you can donate to build up the individual membership program, and hopefully we can then launch that individual program as a collaborative resource for you. That's where my mind is thinking, is if we as individuals can support you and create that secondary system, I would love to be helping you do that.
That would be great. And we are looking for content partners for that parent section, because our plan was to first launch the library staff community, which I'm going to show you because I think it's always easier to see than to tell. And just getting that library community launched and some of the things we're working on for that has been pretty overwhelming for us. We thought then the next phase will be the parent phase, but the feedback we got from the librarians is we want right from the get-go, we want the parent piece. We want to be able to provide resources for our patrons. We fast-tracked it. It's there now. It's not, but when I have the demo, you'll be able to see what parents and caregivers have access to. And the nice thing about community is it's a community. And we've had to dig our heels in for some of our own initiatives in the community and say, wait a minute, when we get a little bit more of a mass in here, we might decide that, hey, we want to have a book study group once a week, or we want to have right now we have office hours, we have science and reading, but a lot of what we do, we want it to be a community. We've provided structure, but we don't want to get so far in what we've dictated this community needs that the community joins, and we're going in this direction, and the community is bubbling along, looking for certain information, certain support, and we're not listening. Whether we've had some feedback about opening it up for parents sooner rather than later, and that's definitely not out of the question. There's a ton of flexibility with how this works, and I think we're very much in the learning phase with the community. We have calls almost every day with our members that are in there about, there's so many topics that come up. Like we talk about, you'll see there's what's hard is there's a lot of breadth in there. And where do we go with the depth with all of these topics? We're getting a lot of our urban libraries are like, we need so much more support for the English language learners that we serve. We've been busy meeting especially with Spanish, which is often the top language, but sometimes there's as many as 48 languages. But how can we help librarians with this very complex area In the rural areas, it's the homeschool community, and how can we provide a level of support? There's so many different questions we're trying to answer, and you can't be you can't be broad that there's nothing you're quite providing enough depth in. So we're tiptoeing in, but with the parent area, can I show you the community? It might be.
You should be able to.
Okay. And have you seen it before?
I don't believe so. While you're pulling that up, the community that's been following me has heard about this book, Handwriting Brain Body Disconnect. It's very ironic that you're talking about 2019. That's when I published. I published because I was trying to help my gifted student with spelling. Plus, I was trying to help the students at school as a direct service provider, help them with spelling as well. I've come to realize that the thing that both of those students need, the one that's struggling to read and write, the one that knows how to read but has trouble getting information on paper, the biggest thing that there's two areas. One of them is visual pattern recognition, understanding the patterns of the way words are created, and memory, working memory is the other area. And even the gifted students have memory deficits that relate to the writing. It's a slower neurological path. And this was designed for parents, but most of the people that have purchased that I know of, I think it's expanding, but initially the people that purchased were OTs. But I've had so many teachers and parents call me and ask me more questions. As we're talking here, I feel strong enough in my foundation to be able to offer a webinar to your libraries about writing skills.
Yeah, that would be very appealing. That would be great. And these are the kind of partnerships we're looking for. And with writing, we can't talk about literacy without writing and spelling. So,
And math is in there too. I'm actually doing a webinar. I do it once a month on a Thursday night, happens to be this coming Thursday, where I teach 3 different strategies that help support math. But because of the writing involved, I talk a little bit about how the mathematics and the writing blend together and create either a positive or a negative impact on learning.
interesting. Yeah, that sounds, um, my curiosity is piqued.
Oh, good. Ooh. Tell us a little bit about your community.
Here is the homepage, and this is where we provide some information for the librarians and staff, just some general information about what to do when you're in the community. And same with the parents and caregivers. We have a little bit of a message for them. Now, currently, the librarians have access to everything, where the parents, you'll see, we'll get to their section as well as, and then they have some select areas. But this is the start here for librarians. And it's a little bit of a video talking about the community, why it was formed, who it's for. The librarians and staff feel clear about where to go. We have 3 recommended learning paths based on the most common questions we get asked. One is, what are the other libraries doing? And then within it, we have some suggestions about what to do, where to go, how to learn about that. 2, I want to learn more about the science of reading, which comes up all the time with us. And 3, I want to create a literacy hub. We have a learning path for where to go for that information. Then we have announcements, and these go out once a week, every Thursday. It's more high level information that we're sharing. This is one of our literacy partners, who the Reading League and the Reading Institute, and they're doing a seminar on Friday that we shared with our community. And then we have events, and these are they will be open to parents as well right now, since we have all librarians in here. And it's mostly, again, what we call more ritualistic events. Let's talk decodable books, discussions about decodable books. Office hours is like an orientation. Another book discussion. This one happens to be books about dyslexia. And then we've got an upcoming webinar in the science of reading. grant opportunities or for librarians to be able to purchase decodable books. Then we have, this is the library community. We call it the Road to Decode library community. We have some prompts. They introduce themselves and get to know each other. This is where the librarians and staff post. Ask an expert, and you can even be one of our Ask the Experts right now because we're a new community. All the experts are going almost through the end of the year, and it's an opportunity to ask, specific questions to Elise is a literacy specialist, a former teacher also with Express Readers. This is our library chair, Laura Lay. She works for the Department of Education in Colorado, and she's a librarian and a literacy specialist. She's written some OG-based programs as well, so just a pretty exceptional program, and a person in our own Beth Bevers who helps librarians about where to start, how to create a literacy hub, how to connect with your school. That's Ask an Expert. Then we have a space for librarians to post what they're doing. This is a library in a rural area in New York that created a collection. These are sometimes the photos that we end up sharing and passing around. So we're excited about our showcase, community feedback, just we can continue to improve. And this is our beta group of librarians. Then we have resources for librarians and staff. We've got a video library, and this essential list is for librarians and parents. And these are robust lists that we have someone working almost full-time to continue to maintain. As you see, we have a bunch of different categories, and then within those categories, we have the ISBN, sometimes where to get the book, etc. And these lists are, again, for parents and for librarians, and we have a whole explanation of what the different lists are. And then
Before you move on, go back. Now, see at the bottom there, you have podcast. I'm hoping that the writing glitch and tier 1 interventions could be part of your podcast list.
We will add them. We will absolutely add them. And that's Beth Bevers, who maintains all these lists. And we're always looking for good podcasts and books to add to all these lists. So whatever you want to send me, we're happy to add.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And then library resources. These are what we provide to librarians when we work with them, and it ranges from brochures we provide so they can offer their community some information on their decodable book collection, what it is, handouts for parents, story walks, engagement tools, signs, a wide range of tools for librarians and staff. Articles about libraries and literacy, and then data is literacy data, as well as some of our programming data working with libraries. Now we're at the parent caregiver section. And yes, so as you
it's a very robust, but is this on Circle?
Yes, it's on Circle.
It's on Circle.
These are all the spaces in our parent caregiver section so far. We have our welcome, say hello, ask a parent caregiver so that parents can actually talk to each other, an early literacy space that's, whoops, I don't want to leave the space. We're going to go right. Early literacy space, which
I have an early literacy program that I want to share with you as well. They're out of Canada. However, they are giving their early literacy information away for free. It's absolutely adorable little program that a mom of a child with dyslexia who found out that her husband also had dyslexia and dysgraphia and what they're doing with it. I will play Rolly with you as well. And look for the listeners, look for that episode. Not sure when that'll come out, but that'll come out sometime this year as well.
No, I will look for it. And matter of fact, we have a lot of back and forth with I want to say, was it IDA Canada or Decoding Dyslexia Canada? But we have a call even Friday with them. We have some good representation, and we may even have a separate space just for the Canadian librarians. They're doing some amazing work. They even guided us through a grant process for it. This is early literacy. Again, we're just starting to populate this space, and you'll see that this is new to dyslexia and reading differences. And all these spaces, I should say too, we are in the process of talking with content partners so we could keep offering fresh information. You would be a perfect partner for many of these spaces, but we also have moderators in these spaces, which we don't have with the librarian spaces, so that parents who maybe want to ask a 22-year-old who couldn't learn to read until they were in seventh grade, if questions about her journey, she's in here as a moderator. Our second moderator is an adult. She's also a publisher who is dyslexic. We wanted to make sure with some of our parent sections that we also, in addition to resources, that they have somebody who's experiencing what maybe their child is in there to ask questions too. As you see, I'm just going to, again, we've got the early literacy, ask a parent caregiver, homeschool resources, tutoring, and apps and technology. That's the parent section that once the library subscribe, that we'll be able to provide parents with their own code in addition to some of access to some of the other parts of this space. Our literacy partners are our nonprofit partners who we work with, and some of them are content partners as well. And then we have our publishing partners, and we have a program for publishers. It's more of a partnership than a direct sponsorship program, and they get access to the space, they get an event, and many of them, this is where they also offer incentives or discounts to members of the community. And not only are we lining up more publishers in this space, we're also in discussion with some of the distributors, because some of the larger library systems can't order from the publishers. They have to go through the distributor. That's a benefit. And then we have courses. I'm not going to demo the course right now because we have some sample content in there, but we are going to offer courses in the main areas that we have webinars in, as well as a parent course on fundamental reading skills. Our featured sponsor, volunteer information, and then we have links. We have links to our guidelines, our website. We have an affiliate bookshop on bookshop.org. We have a link to. We have our own e-commerce, our store. We have free ebooks of ICSAM, a map of who we work with, and Sold a Story, kind of course, a classic podcast, and the Reading Brain. Those are our links, and I'm going to stop the share unless you have any questions. And this is our community.
I love it. I see so many ways that we could become partners in this pandemic of literacy. It's its own pandemic, is what I feel like. But I see that, and the connections that I've made here doing the podcast, I can see different ways that we could connect. So we'll have to continue talking and continue to have you come and share more things over time. But we are out of time. We need to end the podcast today. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, except to share our work. We're a newer nonprofit, and we're always looking for donations and sponsors to help us build more content, create courses, bring in experts and resources, as well as for our own capacity to grow. We are presenting at the World Literacy Summit between April 7th and 9th, and that's available. It takes place in Oxford, but at Oxford, UK. It's also going to be virtual. We're excited about that opportunity, and maybe growing our community to other countries.
That's wonderful. That's amazing. Listeners out there, remember, you were put here for such a time as this. Go be awesome. Go be brilliant. And Marion, this was an absolute joy to have you with your wisdom and everything that you're doing. I can see that your program is just going to explode over the next couple of years.
I hope so. Thank you for this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to all of the collaborative opportunities that we'll have together.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody. See you next week. I haven't seen anybody use it.
We'll see. We were going to also do our core values and a mission statement of the group, but I said we don't have enough people to do it now. It'll be just us in our library chair sitting here. Let's wait until we have more. Yeah, it's the engagement piece. And I tell them all when I show it, I said, we're going to provide you with the best content. We're
Yeah.
going to arm you with resources, but if we want this to be a successful community, you want your patrons to engage, we need you we need you in there. We need, and what's maddening with us though is that they do contact us. They continue one-on-one. It's just like constantly post it in the group, or ask the group. We'll see. I'm glad it's not just us, because I went to a seminar on member engagement yesterday and I asked a question and I said, we're a new community and we've implemented a lot of the recommendations that you just suggested, and we're still not getting a lot of engagement. Is
It's
it that it just takes?
teachers. It's teachers. It's that whole community of teachers.
It's funny because he answered, I don't know your specific community, but he said, you might have something wrong under the hood. And I said to Beth, who we run, I said, did we do something wrong under the hood? I said, I don't know. But I asked him, I said, or is it just time and marketing? And
Yeah, I find that getting anybody to engage is hard. And that's the same thing that Donna Lee says. Would you be interested in setting up a date for a free webinar on writing?
I would be, but wait till we have more members. And that's what I've been telling
Okay.
people is I would love
Okay.
to. I would love to. We could put something on the calendar, but I don't want to have right now. Like you see, I have my fundamentals of science of reading. I threw that out there because our course isn't ready yet. And just to see, I don't want you to spend the time and we have three people because we have
You know, if we
25.
have three people, we have three people. But if you want to schedule a date for that, we can do that. I was thinking like January, but
We could do
yeah,
it for the end of January. Pick a date.
yeah. Want to do that while we're here, while we're thinking about it?
Sure. And you know what I haven't figured out too is we have a lot of events within the community. I would just have to give you access to the community. We could do it on Zoom for the community. That might be easier. Have them register.
That's fine. I like to do my stuff on Thursday nights for my free stuff. Um,
Hmm. Okay.
the 23rd is probably the best night
That
week.
works.
Okay.
Just
7 o'clock?
send me a blurb. 7 o'clock, did you say?
Yeah,
And if you could send me a blurb on
I
it.
will.
Okay. All right.
I will do that when we get off of here. Yeah, and I'll do and you want me to do more of the writing than the math, so we can do that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I'll
That'll,
let them, I'll tell them to invite their parents and caregiver, their community too, like if any
yeah,
parents.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm. Okay.
yeah. Be great to have a full screen, but it's also if it's three, that I'm used to doing that.
Yeah, that's true. We could do it as a Zoom meeting, but keep the cameras off, or we could do it as a webinar, either way.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The more interactive, the way I am is the more interactive I can be with the people on Zoom, the better. I like to have them do things that are non-writing activities that help promote writing. We we do exercises while we're on Zoom.
I like that too. I prefer meetings to webinars as well, even when we do our tours, even though most people still turn their cameras off. I want to give people the option sometimes. Yet also we also get interactive even in our webinar, especially the early resources where we're looking at different books. Read by Fourth, the Philly Free Library System, and our grant work in Chester for Senator Muth. It's not quite Chester County, it's Chester, Montgomery, and Berks. That got extended
Mhm.
to school librarians a lot in Pennsylvania. Our pro bono law firm is based in Philadelphia, DLA Piper, just
Okay.
lots of. And I used to work for Elsevier in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Coincidentally, it seems like I'm always there, and but it's been we get more work. We have, it's probably the most active state for us just because things always snowball when you start working closely with an area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pennsylvania is a unique state. I've got to give it that.
Yes. All right.
Right.
You have a
Great.
nice day, and I'm glad we connected.
It's good to see you again. Thank you. All
Bye.
right. Bye bye now.